If you looked ahead 1 year, where do you want to be as a leader? And if you look back 1 year, what has surprised you where you are today? Today is a special day for me. This marks 1 full year since I published my first YouTube video. Hey friends, thanks for joining me today on Leading with Bill. I'm Bill Martin, your personal leadership coach, and this is where biblical wisdom can transform your leadership and life. Welcome to this special episode to celebrate this milestone. I want to share two amazing impacts for you today. First, I want to talk a little bit about the story behind why I started Leading with Bill and why I started making these videos. And second, I want to share 3 leadership lessons God has been teaching me over this past year, each one anchored in scripture with practical lessons and leadership steps. Now, even if you don't care about YouTube, TikTok, or any other social media platform at all, and that's totally fine. Here's why this still matters. Because every leader is building something. You're building a career, you're building trust and team culture, you're building a reputation. And whether you realize it or not, you're building a legacy. So for today, and for me, the real question isn't, do I make videos? The real question for me and for you is this: are you becoming the kind of leader you want to be a year from now? So let me give you the short version of my story. There are 2 overall themes that played a role. The first and most important was sometime in the fall of 2024, so almost 2 years ago. I felt this direction from God just prompting me in a couple of areas. First, the words of Jesus in the Bible, where he says, "Follow me." These words started pulling at my heart. The examples of Peter leaving his nets behind, the invitation to Nathanael to come and see, and the rich young ruler's response to Jesus, and many more, all resonated so strongly. This had such a deep impact on me. I even did a video series last year. It's The Call to Follow, and you can check out that playlist here. Second area was hearing God say, share about Jesus on YouTube. It's funny because I didn't have any experience creating videos, but this wasn't just about videos. It was a call to obedience. And so I started researching how to create content, record videos, learn the editing, and create something that would share about Jesus. So that's the first major theme. The second major theme, well, for years, I've worked in HR leadership and alongside executives and senior leaders. And over again, I kept seeing the same pattern. People would get promoted because they were good at their job. And then suddenly they were managing people and they were expected to lead, which meant they were expected to communicate well and handle conflict and build trust, coach performance and set vision, all the things, but nobody really trained them. And I've also seen what that pressure does to a person. It can make you second guess yourself. You feel stuck, feel like you're running behind. And if you're a person of faith, it can even make you wonder, God, did I miss something? Did I get this wrong? Somewhere along the way, I just felt this growing burden, this nudge that I wasn't supposed to keep what I had learned to myself. Not because I've got it all figured out, but because I've seen what happens when leaders don't get support. So these 2 running themes in my inner core, sharing about Jesus and helping people grow as leaders, I saw where these 2 met and converged. And so was birthed Leading with Bill. It's to help aspiring leaders like you become value-driven leaders rooted in principles of servant leadership with examples of Jesus and others in the Bible. Ultimately developing leaders who can communicate, build trust, and lead with purpose. So I started making these YouTube videos and then TikTok videos for one simple reason. I wanted to show up consistently and serve. even when I didn't feel ready, even when I had to fight the voices in my head that said, "Who do you think you are?" And if I'm honest, this past year has stretched me, not just in skill, but in trust. Because when you put yourself out there, when you create, when you lead, when you serve, there's always that moment when you realize you can't control the outcome. You can't control who watches or who responds. You can't control how fast it grows or does it grow or has the algorithm changed. Well, I've had to learn in a deeper way what it looks like to trust God with the results, which leads me to lesson number one. Lesson number one, trust God with the path, not just the plan. Let me anchor this in scripture. Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him and he will make your path straight. That verse is familiar for a lot of us, but this year, it's been personal because I like plans. I like clarity. I like knowing what's next. And YouTube and TikTok and honestly, leadership in general will humble you there. You can do the right things and still not know exactly how it's going to turn out. And I've had to practice trusting God, not just with the destination, but with the path. As a leader, trust shows up in two places. First, it shows up in how you handle uncertainty. And second, it shows up in how you treat people when you don't have all the answers. Leaders who trust God and leaders who lead with healthy trust don't pretend. They stay steady and honest. They just keep moving forward. So here's your leadership step. Write down one area where you're trying to force clarity and ask this simple question. Am I leaning on my own understanding here, or am I trusting in God with the right next step? Then choose the right next step and not the whole staircase. Lesson number two, consistency beats intensity. Let me anchor this in scripture, and we're going to go to the Old Testament for this next one. Zechariah 4 verse 10 says, do not despise these small beginnings. That verse has been a steady reminder for me because when you start something, whether it's YouTube or a TikTok channel, maybe a new role, a new team, or just a new season of life, small beginnings can feel almost embarrassing. You don't feel as confident as you want to feel. You don't feel as skilled as you want to be. And you can be tempted to quit because it doesn't look impressive yet. But here's what I've learned this year. Most weeks, I didn't feel ready. I just decided to be consistent. And as a leader, that matters because your team doesn't need you to be intense once a quarter. They need you to be dependable every week, even every day. They need steady. They need follow through. So here's your leadership step. Pick one small leadership habit that you're going to do weekly for the next 30 days. Maybe it's a 15-minute one-on-one check-in, or maybe it's writing down your top 3 priorities every Monday morning. Maybe it's giving one person specific encouragement each week. Don't despise the small beginning because a year from now, consistency compounds. Lesson number 3, growth requires humility and feedback is a gift. So here's the anchor. Proverbs 12 verse 1 says, whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but whoever hates correction is stupid. Yes, it says stupid. Now that's blunt. It's also true. One of the most uncomfortable parts of making videos is you have to watch yourself. You hear your tone, you see your habits, weird habits. You notice what's unclear, and there's no amount of video editing that can fix it. Now, you can either get defensive or you can get better. And leadership is the same way. The leaders who grow are not the leaders who never get corrected. They're the leaders who stay teachable. They don't argue with feedback. They listen, they learn, and they adjust. Now, here's your leadership step. Ask one trusted person a simple question. What's one thing I could do that would make me easier to follow? And when they answer, don't explain, don't defend yourself. Just write it down, pray about it, and take one step. So today, 1 year in, I'm grateful. Grateful for the growth. I'm grateful for the stretching. I'm grateful for you watching right now and for every person who has watched, shared, commented, or reached out. And I want to bring it back to the question we started with. If you looked ahead 1 year, where do you want to be as a leader? Trust God with the path, stay consistent, stay humble and teachable. Because a year from now, those small steps can become a completely different story. And if this episode helped you, hit like and subscribe and share it with someone who is an aspiring leader looking to grow in their leadership and life. Friends, thanks for being part of this journey and joining this episode of Leading with Bill. Remember, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and we'll see you next time